Don't be a hero like I kind of was in the beginning.
Hello, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our walk from Nájera to Santo Domingo de la Calzada. It was a great walk. We walked 20.6 kilometers and it was 27,000 steps. The great thing about when you leave Nájera is you're kind of in this rocky canyon kind of area, so that's really cool and pretty. And the rest of the day is long, lazy roads, lots of fields. It's so beautiful. It's just a pleasant day for walking. So we stayed at the hostel Carpe Diem. It was 50 euros for a private room with a shared bath. Super cute, super clean place. We liked it a lot. And something really interesting about it was it was fully automated. We were not sure where we were going to stop, so we didn't want to book ahead too far. Then when we decided to stop in Santo Domingo, we booked a room online on booking.com, and about an hour later they sent us a note. They gave us a code to get into our room and a code to get into the building, and it was completely automated. It was quick and easy, something different than almost everywhere else we've stayed, so that was kind of interesting and we enjoyed that. Let's see, we ate groceries all day. The town of Santo Domingo de la Calzada is a really cute town. It's a bit industrial as you come into the town, and then you hit the old town and it's really pretty and cute. We want to give a shout out today to Rich and Melissa. They are a father-in-law, daughter-in-law team who are hiking this together. They couldn't get the son or the husband to go with them, and so they decided to do it on their own together, and they are having a great time, and we've had some fantastic talks with them along the journey. We've seen them about 3 times now as we've been hiking. It's been great to see them. Shout out to them.
Buen Camino, everyone. So today I thought I would talk about something that is near and dear to every pilgrim's heart, blisters, and how to take care of them. I think this is a topic most of us kind of hate, but we also all have to deal with it, so we talk about it a lot. Unless, of course, you are David, who seems to have feet made out of steel. He has not had any blisters or any signs of blisters or any hot spots or anything. He's just fine the whole way. So feel free to hate him, because I kind of do, because I have definitely dealt with some really challenging blisters along the way. Now, here's the problem, or the hard part about talking about it, is that everybody's feet are different. And so what works for one person is not going to work for another person. I have been trying lots of things just to see what might work. And really, for me, the thing that has worked the best is rest. We have taken lots of extra rest days, and that has helped. But there's lots of products, and you know, just like I have, you're going to want to try some of them and see what's going to work for you depending on where you have your blisters. So it's good to get familiar with that. Prevention is always the best thing you can do, and so just being very aware. If you get a hot spot, you want to stop immediately and address it. Don't think, oh, it's only 1 more mile until I get there, I'll deal with it when we get there. Those hot spots, if you catch them early enough, you can prevent yourself so much hassle. You got to listen to your body. Don't be a hero like I kind of was in the beginning, trying to just, you know, walk hard and walk fast because the rest of my body felt fine. You got to listen to your feet, and if you get those hot spots, address them immediately. I would definitely advise coming prepared with some tape. There's different kinds of tape that you can put on your feet that just help prevent that friction and that rubbing around, and that can be really useful. The thing that has worked best for me, really, there's like this foam padding. You can get it at every pharmacy here, and that's the thing. If you like don't bring stuff, or you need to get more stuff, you don't need to bring enough supplies to last you the entire Camino, because there are pharmacies everywhere. They are all along the way in most of the bigger towns, and so you're going to be able to replenish. And they've got this little foam that's sticky on one side that I have been using, and I'll put it like a barrier around the blister just to kind of build it up a little bit and take some of the pressure off the blister itself. My blisters got really big, and so that became more challenging, but especially for the littler blisters, that can be really effective to kind of just give them some relief so that they're going to heal faster. There's lamb's wool that you can use, especially if you've got blisters or are prone to blisters on your toes. Luckily, that's not my issue. There's also a little, like a foam sleeve. It's like a little tube, and you cut it to the length of your toe. And I did get a blister on the very tip of one of my toes one day, and so I just put that tube on it, and it just pushed out a little bit farther than my toe went. And then it just kind of protected that for a couple of days while I was walking. That was a really easy blister to kind of take care of. A lot of people will talk about Vaseline, and they don't talk about it. People who use Vaseline swear by the Vaseline, and they will lather their foot up multiple times a day and keep them very moist. For me, that didn't really work, but it is something you might want to consider for yourself. I do have, it's basically some Body Glide. It looks like a deodorant stick, and I will put that on in the morning on kind of those spots I think might rub a little bit more. Here's the thing, there's lots of stuff that you can get, lots of bandages and different things, and it's hard to tell sometimes what works and what doesn't work because it's so multifactorial. And so unless you go through the exact same conditions and change one different kind of bandage, sometimes it's just hard to tell. You're like, well, something works, so I'm guessing it's this. Something didn't work, maybe it's this. There are days my blisters get better, and there are days my blisters get worse. And honestly, I'm not really sure what it is. I am someone who's prone to blisters anyway my whole life, and I've never been able to tell. I've paid a lot of attention to it because getting blisters sucks, and I've never been able to tell what it is that causes it. Your shoes are going to play a big part of it. I am wearing trail runners. I first discovered trail runners when I hiked the Grand Canyon rim to rim. The first time I did it in normal tennis shoes, and my feet hated that. It was terrible. I lost my big toenails. I had lots of blisters. It was bad. So the second time I got the trail runners, and I like those because it has a really wide toe box and gave my feet, like my toes, room to move around. And so instead of, when you're hiking downhill and you're just hitting the front of your toes into the top of your shoe and causing blisters under the nails, which is very uncomfortable, don't recommend. The trail runners give you a little extra room so that doesn't happen. So the second time I hiked the Grand Canyon, I didn't have any problems at all. I used the Body Glide, I have merino wool socks, and I had those trail runners, and it was terrific. So this time I am wearing, it's the same as the Ultra Lone Peaks. I think we're up to the 8. So it's a different version of the shoe, but it's the same shoe. And I've gotten blisters. However, I don't think I got blisters because of the shoe. I think my blisters, the bad ones anyway, started the day I was sick and I was walking funny. And so I think that's where I had an issue. But I don't really know because there's just no way to really tell. So you're gonna have to get familiar with your feet and decide, buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Hello.
You're gonna have to decide what you think is gonna work for you. I encourage you to come up with a plan so that you can try things, and then just be aware as you go, you might have to modify your plan and try something else. There's gonna be lots of people giving you advice. Every time I stop on the side of the road, people are super friendly, and they'll come up and be like, oh, are you okay? Have you thought of this? Have you tried this? This is what worked for me. I think she was an Australian woman, walked by me when I was on the side of the road once, and she walked by and then she stopped and she went over to her husband and got something with a backpack, and she brought over a tube of some kind of cream. I don't even know what it was. And she just said, hold out your hand. And she gave me some of the cream. She's like, put that on that foot. It's going to make you feel better. I was like, okay. I have no idea what it was. It did not make me feel better, but it was super, super nice. Like, I love that kind of community that we have out here. It was a super sweet interaction. There's a dressing here called Compeed, and this is one of those things that is very much divides the community, where some people believe it is the best dressing ever for any type of blister, and other people think it is like the devil bandage that makes everything worse. And as a nurse, back in the States, we call them something different. Compeed is the brand name over here. I think it's the same company that you can buy it in the States, because I have gotten them before, but it's called something else. I don't know. I'll show you the name of the box of what you can get it on Amazon. But these are hydrocolloid dressings. And so it's got like a gel in it. And the point is that you put it on an open wound, and then that gel gets in there. The bandages are super sticky. They're designed to go on and stay there for a couple of days. You don't take it off and look at what's happening underneath. You just leave it there. And that hydrocolloid dressing can kind of absorb extra moisture. But here's where it gets confusing, I think, for a lot of people, because the instructions are pretty vague. And the instructions kind of make it seem like it's fine for any type of blister. But I would disagree. I gotta cross a road here. But I'm gonna die. Okay, I'm making it. But to me as a nurse, like, they're not for any kind of blister. They are really good for open blisters. So if the roof of your blister comes off for whatever reason, that's when I would put on a hydrocolloid dressing. Because then you're going to cover it, you're going to let it sit for a couple days, let it heal, let it absorb that extra fluid that's in there, keep a nice, safe, clean environment underneath. I've never actually used them for a blister, but I think as it works, you'll see like white spots come up into the dressing, and that's just a sign that it's working. You know, that it's absorbing the things that it wants to absorb and releasing the things that it wants to release, so it gives that wound an opportunity to heal. I think it can be a really good dressing for that. However, if the roof is still on your blister, right, that skin hasn't peeled off, then the hydrocolloid dressing isn't going to do anything for you, right? There's a barrier there, so it's not reaching the wound. So it's not going to do anything except for put a big bump of extra pressure right on top of your blister. So I have not used them. Well, to be fair, a woman tried really, really hard to convince me it was going to work. So I put one on for like an hour and was walking on it. I was like, I know this is stupid. It is stupid. I took it off. Just be aware, if you put it on a blister that does have the roof and then you peel it off too early, it is so sticky, it can take off that top layer of skin. So if you're not careful, it will rip off the roof of your blister, and then you will have to put another bandage, Compeed on it to cover it up, right? I was very careful when I took it off. That didn't happen. People are going to tell you different things than what I just said. People have very strong beliefs. I mean, the woman, she put it on her blister that had a roof on it, and it healed her. And so for her, they're the best things ever. And you should not listen to me. I am not here to give medical advice. You should use whatever works best for you. That's okay. I'm just telling you how they're sort of intended to work and how I think it would work for me. So all of my blisters, as big as they got, the roof never came off. That skin stayed there intact. So I have not used any of the Compeed dressings. I have a bunch in my bag. People keep giving them to me. And if any of them did peel off, I would totally use them. I'm not against them. I just haven't had the right kind of wound yet, and hopefully won't, that would require that kind of a bandage. Now, I'm gonna go on record, and my nurse friends are gonna make fun of me here. But I got desperate because to me, it seems like the drier that blister is, the sooner it heals and the sooner it feels better, especially when they're on the bottom of your foot. The problem with popping blisters is that once you pop them, you open a window where bacteria could get in there and it could get infected. And if it gets infected, it can get really bad. I've heard people of developing bone infections from, just a blister that kind of progressed and got infected. So you want to avoid infection at all costs. However, if you have a big, full blister on the bottom of your foot, sometimes it's just too painful. So I started popping them. And that seemed to at least alleviate the pain. And then there's another school of thought that says if you take a piece of cotton thread and thread it through, that will act as a wick and help dry it out faster. And I was very resistant to that because, again, as a nurse, that is, you're just introducing this vector for infection where, you know, the bacteria can get on that thread and just crawl right into your wound. And so I do not recommend it at all. It's a terrible, terrible idea. And I did it. And it seemed to help me. So I'm just putting that out there. I didn't do it a lot. I also got a big bottle of betadine and I was like bathing the wound in the betadine. Just a little nursing tip here. If you are going to use something like betadine, you want to put it on the wound and then you want to leave it alone for a little while and let it air dry. Don't tap it, don't blow on it. Anything you do to touch it kind of disturb, it needs time to like just sit there and dry, and that's what's going to kill any of the bacteria. So I put lots of betadine on it, so the wound or the blisters looked terrible because they were kind of like yellowy brown because there was just that dried betadine on it, but that worked really well for me. And I did not get an infection, which I'm very happy about. When it comes to your foot, you know your feet better than I do, better than anyone else on the trail is going to, and you're gonna have to figure out what works best for you. Unless you're like David, again, you could very well get a blister, and you just wanna be prepared so you know how to deal with it, because it is no fun walking on blisters. So I hope that helps. Gives you some ideas of what to prepare for. We do videos every day as we're walking the Camino. I will put the playlist right up here if you want to check out the rest of our playlist.
Today and not tomorrow.